All right. Welcome to another episode of the Cassels Cast. My name's Eamon Cassels. Joining me today is going to be my guys Ryan Drouin and Charlie Bischoff. Together, we're going to be going over our collective top 25 lists for players entering this season. A little bit of context behind the list. So, all three of us, along with several listeners, submitted their top 25 lists. We averaged them out, and we're going to be talking about the average list today on the podcast. I do want to give a shout out to my guys Kuehl, Svy Rovenchuk, and John Sbisa for submitting their list to the pod. I really appreciate it. And I do want to also give a quick programming update. Next week we will be back with season previews, but we were just taking a little bit of a break due to this top 25 list this week. Without any further ado, let's just get into the pod. Alright, joining the show now for a top 25 list of players entering the 2026-27 season is Ryan Drouin and Charlie Bischoff. How you guys doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Doing great. Excited to be back for something that isn't a draft. It's great.
Absolutely, yeah, this should be a ton of fun. So, yeah, we've done this for a few years. We didn't do it on the podcast last year for whatever reason, but for 3 or 4 years in a row, we did a write up on my blog where we did top 25 players, and you guys were always a part of it, and we decided to run it back on the podcast. And yeah, so we're just going to get into the list, go over some honorable mentions, and then break down each spot, 25 through 1. So yeah, let me pull up some fresh graphics that Rye made. All right, so this is the intro slide, obviously, and then we are getting into some honorable mentions. So as you guys can see, Cooper Flag was literally right on the edge of making it. Literally like tied with Murray. We gave Murray the tiebreaker because not his highest vote was higher, but his second highest vote was higher than Coop's. So slightly missed out. Then we got other players who received votes, including Trey Young, OG Anunoby, Chet Holmgren, Austin Reeves, Anthony Davis, Evan Mobley, Paulo Banchero, Jalen Williams, and Denny Avdia. Are there anybody from this group that really stands out as a brutal omission, or just generally anything that stands out with this group?
Honestly, I just wanted to say, first of all, I think the panel as a whole did a really good job. I, there's, I will say there's no players here that I don't think deserve at least a shout, especially since there's just so many honorable mentions. Like we have 10 here. I, of course, was the highest on Cooper Flag. I think that he does deserve a spot on this list, but of course the panel decided otherwise. And the only one that I have like a slight issue with is Anthony Davis, just because of his availability and his injury concerns. And with the new team he is on, like we don't even really know what the situation is with that. Like we were thinking he was going to get moved the whole offseason. Just like Anthony Davis was really the only one that I was kind of not as high on. But I don't know. What did you guys think?
Yeah, Anthony Davis feels quite off the radar right now. He's still figuring out where his next team will be, it seems. So I'm very comfortable with leaving him off of this. But like Ryan said, I totally agree. The Polars did a good job here, and it looks like a good group of honorable mentions. It's happy to see OG on there. Um, and I'm high on Flag as well, Ryan. But this is about the range that I had him in here, and not shocking to see him left off, I guess, but very high on him. There is one more guy that I'll point out that sticks out here is I had Jalen Williams off my list, but I see him in here, and it was kind of surprising to see that he wouldn't have gotten more respect in the polls.
I was just gonna say that I thought it was surprising that two Thunder players made the list, or only one Thunder player made the list, and two were just off. I thought that was pretty intriguing, considering that they were arguably the best team last season.
Yeah, absolutely. I will mention that I also had Flag on my list. I think all three of us did, but nobody else did. I know Rye had him at like 18 range. So I do want to point out that I also had Flag on my list. I think us three were the only ones who did have him on, so he slightly missed it. But yeah, I think what Cooper did, considering the situation around him, was incredibly impressive. His all around impact was really incredible for a rookie. And then uh, showing off some of that shot creation with just zero floor spacing and zero playmaking around him was really awesome. I think if he can really develop that jump shot, he's going to skyrocket up the list because defensively, he's already truly elite. And then offensively, he already showed everything you could possibly ask for. So I definitely think he's going to be on the list next year. I do understand, like, just basing it off of his rookie season, why he might have slightly missed it, but I definitely think he deserves a shout. And then you guys touched on it, but Jalen Williams for me was the guy that I had the highest out of any of these honorable mentions. I had him at 19. A lot of people didn't have him on their list, and based on last season, I totally get it because he was very injured, and quite frankly, when he was on the court, he didn't look like himself. But when you look back to that Thunder finals run, he was truly their second best player. He had some massive performances, especially in the finals, and I think in terms of just like a complete basketball player and a do it all forward, uh, yeah, I would have him on the list. I think he's gonna remind a lot of people how good he is this season when he's fully healthy. But I do understand some like the injury concerns, and then like frankly, he just didn't have a good season. All these guys I think are like top 25 level. I don't have a major issue with any of these names. I will say it's just like a testament to how deep the league is because not only do we have these like 10 honorable mentions, but there's 5 to 10 more guys that didn't even get a single vote that I think could be a top 25 level player. So I do think that's worth noting. This definitely felt like one of the deeper years that we've done this list.
Who do we have?
Yeah, I
Name like
want
two or three. Who are the guys left off the honorable mentions that we have? You think?
I mean, I would say LaMelo
Laurie.
Ball.
Laurie.
Laurie Marketing could be even.
Laurie Markkinen.
Yeah, LaMelo Ball's one for me where it's like, yeah, I get it, and I didn't vote for him.
I'm gonna
I
I'm
as
gonna I'm gonna throw out a bit of a wild card here. I'm gonna I'm gonna say like one of the guards that took me by surprise and I think will be really good in 2027 is Darius Garland. He
Oh,
was
great one.
incredible last season, and no everyone was talking about Harden to the Cavs because that was just like such a, I mean that's just a story written itself pretty much. But Garland was incredible on the Clippers. Such a great shooter, incredibly efficient. Great ball handler, really nice tight handles, and yeah, that would be what, because the guard pool is just so deep, and I look at a guy like him, and he's like on like a Trey Young level to me, who received an honorable mention, so I feel like that's a fair shout.
Right. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good
In
one.
regards to in regards to depth in the league again, it's like Ryan just compared Garland to Trey Young, who's a superstar, and he's on the honorable mentions. This guy gets 10 assists every game. He scores like in the 25s all the time. It's crazy he's an honorable mention in the league, and the guard depth is insane. And I'm Ryan. I'm looking at a list of honorable mentions that I have right here, and I didn't even have Garland on it, and it's like I'm regretting it already. He's a great player.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's a great player, and I'm not advocating for him to be on the list, but I think that's just like a great shout, like for how deep the league is. Um,
Absolutely.
And the one thing I noticed with this subgroup of players here with the honorable mentions, a lot of defensive oriented players, which I wouldn't have expected considering in today's league the league is so scoring heavy that I feel like defensive players should be valued a little bit more. But I can also understand why they're left off the list, especially guys like OG, Chet, J Dub, Mobley. These are all guys that are slightly limited offensively, not incredibly limited, but just don't have the scoring. We have way better two-way players that are actually on the list. So, um, yeah. Also, one guy, he's staring me right in the face right now, Paulo Banchero. This is the first time I've seen him consistently left off the top 25 list, which is very, very interesting. What are your guys' thoughts on Paulo and just like where the future stands for the Magic as a whole? Because they don't even have a player on this list.
Yeah, Paulo was on my list last year. It's kind of
He was on
hard,
mine
but
last year too. I was like ready for him to be a top 10 player last year.
he didn't step up in a significant way.
No, he did not.
Yeah, Paul is
How
a
do you,
really tough one. I honestly, I think he was up for grabs for that final spot for me. It was between him and Denny. I ended up giving it to Denny. But yeah, this is a critical season for Paolo. He had a down year last year. I've been a guy who's defended him. I still think he's an impactful player. I still think what he's shown us in the playoffs is really high level stuff. But in terms of like him being a number one option on a good team, I do have doubts based on some of that shot selection, and I don't think it's fair to just say he plays around a bad team, which does contribute to it to some extent. But he just has to be better, especially with the shot selection, and then finding ways to impact the game outside of scoring. I think is a clear area of improvement for him. So it is a tough one. I think this is a prove it year for him. I could definitely see him bouncing back and making this list next year. But yeah, definitely a prove it year for him. And then who knows? I mean, I think this Paulo Franz duo, it depends on how this season goes. I think this will be a big trial for them, but I could definitely see it getting broken up. And I think Franz is another guy who you could argue down season injuries played a role there last year, but another guy that I would say is like top 25 caliber at the very least.
Magic
Okay.
are good. Magic are good.
Magic are
Yeah,
No,
what?
they are. They are.
they are good.
Actually, I did put them 10th in my preseason rankings for the
Good
East.
shout. New
But
head coach.
I mean,
Jamal
oof,
Mosley's out. He was good. I thought he was good too, and I guess not.
I do have a confession. I had them. I originally had them at 13, and I was like, that's way too harsh. Like I'm expecting them to like miss the playoffs possibly, but I think
Eh,
13 is great. 13's like borderline tanking.
they could miss the playoffs, though,
They
for
could.
sure.
The East is interesting this year. I'm like super excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, the East is incredibly deep, and we'll see. The Magic definitely have a wide range of outcomes. I think their offseason was super interesting. I mean, we did a whole pod about it, but in terms of
Right.
like just only adding a new head coach and making no other real roster additions after the season they had. Interesting choice. I understand it to some extent, but yeah, wide range of outcomes for those guys. Unless we have any other thoughts on these honorable mentions, I think we can kick it off with number 25. So 25, we have Jamal Murray, who was really vying for that final spot with Cooper Flag. A little bit of a wide range here. High ranking was 18, and he was left off several lists as well. I want to kick it to you here, Charlie, to start things off because you were the man who had him at 18. So yeah, give me some Jamal Murray talk.
Yeah, I did have him at 18. You know, I was worried Cooper Flag wouldn't have made the top 25, and then I realized now he's competing with Jamal Murray, and that would be insanely disrespectful if Cooper Flag was on this list and Jamal Murray was off the list. That would be insane. He's very reliable, and he leads teams to win games, so I don't see why he can't be over guys who don't find ways to win games quite often, and that's my only argument for Jamal Murray.
Right, any thoughts? I believe you had him on your list as well.
Yeah, I did have Jamal on my list. I'm I was super high on Jamal Murray last season. He finally kind of came to his own in terms of becoming an elite second option to Jokic. And when I say elite, I'm talking he was one of the best scorers in the league last year. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's just incredible. Um I find myself with Jamal, unfortunately, blaming him for having such a perfect fit with Jokic. I feel like there's a lot of other players where if they averaged 25 a game last year, we'd be a lot higher on them. Whereas Jamal, you kind of put him in like a fringe top 25 range due to the fact that he basically has a booster seat all the time with Nikola Jokic. Like he not all the time, obviously, because he can't. Nikola can't always be on the floor, and Jamal Murray still excels very well. His numbers are great when it's him on the floor without Jokic. But I feel like he just gets overshadowed due to that fact. And if he continues to be consistently that 25 point per game guy, we could see him rise on this list. We could see him be a top 20 player, like a consensus top 20 player in everyone's minds, because the the Nuggets the Nuggets have been incredible, and Jamal Murray is one of the main reasons of that because he stepped up big time last year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting things with Jamal. I did have him unranked. I'm a little bit lower on him. I don't think like 25 is like crazy. It's like, oh, how did he make the list? I do think he's one of the better number two options in the league. Really good three-level scorer. Obviously, playing next to Jokic helps, but they also did have that stretch without him, and he was able to keep them afloat and really took a lot of strides, especially in the regular season in terms of consistency, which has been an issue for him. So I do think it is like justifiable to have him in this top 25 range. And honestly, before the playoffs, I probably would have had him somewhere on my list. But man, it would have been interesting to do this list before the playoffs because even like looking back at like Emo and Chet who didn't make it, like they probably would have made my list before the playoffs. But man, the playoffs for Jamal were tough. Jaden McDaniels really just took his lunch money and had him in jail the entire series. And I know that's a tough matchup because like McDaniels is super long and he's incredibly agile, but he really couldn't do much against him. And he's not like a high level enough playmaker to like compensate for that. And then defensively, he was getting attacked relentlessly. So I do feel like those factors made me din him a little bit. All the same, he is literally coming off the best season of his career in the regular season. First time All Star. I thought that was well deserved. As I touched on earlier, helped the Nuggets stay afloat without Jokic for that stretch for several weeks, and then continuing to be like the best two-man game in the league, arguably the best duo in the league with him and Jokic. Incredible synergy, and he is such a perfect complement to Jokic because he can create for himself at such a high level. Super impactful player. Don't have a big issue with him at 25, but just a tad lower on him than consensus.
All true. All true.
Yeah, yeah.
Fire Jaden
I
McDaniels.
I did sort of. I personally factored out the playoffs a little bit more with this list, just because I really just kind of factored this on regular season. I don't know. I tried to stay consistent throughout, and I felt like a lot of these players, especially a guy like Jamal Murray, really proved himself in the regular season last year. So kind of wanted to give him the shout. I do respect him being off the list, as like I said, he's kind of a compliment to Jokic as it is. But
I think also one thing I do want to like say with Jamal and maybe why I'm just like putting too much into that playoff series against the Wolves. Jamal throughout his career has been sensational in the playoffs, and he has a proven track record. He was the number two option on a championship team, so it's not like I'm not saying that he's like a bad playoff performer or a playoff dropper. So maybe I just over index that a little bit too much, but yeah, I think 25 is overall pretty fair for Jamal Murray. 24, this might cause some controversy on the panel here. You got LeBron James, high ranking 21. Low would be unranked by all three of us. Um, you know what? As a man who has many thoughts about LeBron, I'm going to kick this one to you, Ryan.
I really thought that LeBron was just gonna, you know, get a hobby and retire, but
Yeah.
here we are. He's just got to ruin our lives by joining the Sixers with Jalen Brown. Just absolutely crush our souls. Like, I love just having a team in the Eastern Conference where it's like, yeah, that's anti Celtics. We just traded our star player and then LeBron just happens to join that team. I swear he has it out for the Celtics. Okay, that's the only time I'll be biased Celtics fan on the pod. Okay. So LeBron unbiasedly, undoubtedly, was not a top 25 player last year. And I was saying this before we logged into the pod. When you look at who missed the list, and you look at, we are making a list for this upcoming season. We are not making a legacy list. We are not making who do we like the most list. We're not making a who had the best career list. We are doing this strictly based off of basketball and talent. And I'm sorry, but in this moment right now, Denny Avdia does almost everything better than LeBron James. Almost everything. And LeBron and I said this before too, before we joined. LeBron in some of these games might be the fourth option, and we have him ranked at 24. This is a spoiler, but there's 4 76ers on the list. I if that doesn't scream propaganda, I honestly don't know what does. A team where half of the players haven't even played together yet. We're putting them on. We're just like giving them top 25. LeBron is pretty much being gifted top 25 in my eyes, because I mean, you look at a guy like Chet or Mobley's defensive impact, and they're almost at an all-time level. Would have won multiple DPOYs in other years if you like match their stats up with other DPOY winners in like the early 2000s, 2010s. It's just that Wemby is in the way, and we're ranking. I could go on
That's a
forever
good
here.
argument. That's a good argument. That's a good argument. There are a lot of depoy candidates, and they're blocked by Wemby, but they still count.
I'm not dissing another person for ranking LeBron high. I just think they've fallen victim to propaganda. All right, we're done. We're
Yeah,
already done.
yeah.
We're
At
already
least they,
done. No, we're already done. Okay. Yeah, I don't.
no, Jalen will be in there, and he's probably higher on this list. But I don't know.
I had.
LeBron at 24 is like, it's not like,
Oh,
We'll get to
yeah.
it in a
LeBron
sec.
at 24.
I'll quickly give my LeBron thoughts. I don't think 24 is like egregious, and I don't like
Yeah,
21. Like, yeah, I don't. I also don't think that's like totally egregious. I had him unranked. But like we didn't see anyone put him like top 15. I feel like that would be like, okay, that's a stretch, but
yeah, and no one put him top 20, so I
yeah.
have to respect the decision. If you put him top 20, though, I would have flipped my house over on its side.
Uh,
So
I feel like 24 is honestly like that. I think that's like perfectly fine. I didn't have him on my list. I don't think it's crazy though. I feel LeBron at his age, he's at a different point in his career. We saw that last year where he was honestly playing like third fiddle to Austin Reeves, and I think we saw that this offseason where his priorities were at, because he's going into the Sixers team as like a legit fourth option. He's gonna play more of that connector role. Based on like IQ alone, I feel like he's just so impactful still. Yeah, the defense has fallen off. He's not a 1A guy anymore, but he can be like a 1A guy on certain nights still. So still like a super impactful all around player. But yeah, I wouldn't have him on my list. I think it's a close call. I think he's just at a different point of his career. But yeah, 24. Like I don't have a major issue. If he was a little bit higher, like if he was in that clear cut like top 20 somewhere in the teens, yeah, maybe I would have more of a wry reaction here. But yeah, overall, I think this is like a fine spot for LeBron.
yep,
if I see LeBron's face, you're gonna get a reaction.
Absolutely. I think every podcast we've done, there's been something LeBron related.
yeah.
He is like, one of the goats, so
For
can't
sure.
blame him.
Yeah, I think we can move ahead to 23, and that's going to be another 76er, Joel Embiid. Number
Great.
23. High grading was 20, and low was unranked.
Should be. 20's high. It's not egregious either, unfortunately. But he's got to be healthy all year or whatever. That's fine. I don't know. I'm low on centers, high on guards and forwards. The impact of Joel Embiid, if impact can be measured, right now, healthy even. I guess it's. I guess I'm kind of torn. It could be high. It could be high, but I think it's low. Low impact. Any comments on that?
I'm not like a Joel hater, but at this stage of his career, with all the injuries and like the status of his knees, and I don't think his offensive impact could ever match um Chet's defensive impact, who's off the list. And he's also a shell of himself. Joel is a shell of himself, athleticism wise, even if he like were to recover. Like I
Yep.
feel like for I feel like what and I feel like what he should have done is when he took the year off at the beginning of his career and he had another major injury, he might have needed to take another full season off. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but he seems like it seems like his body takes a long time to recover, and he keeps coming back and re-aggravating everything. So if I had
Yep,
to guess, he just needs a little bit more time off, and availability is just going to be such a concern. I mean, we'll be lucky to get 50 games out of him this year.
Take it.
absolutely. Yeah, you said I'm gonna bite. I'm gonna bite on this. You said Chet's better. I'm gonna say Mobley's better, and I will die on that hill.
Oh,
Either way, Mobley's better, and for sure. So
okay.
I would have
I'm
both
not
those guys.
I'm not mad. I had both on my list, so I'm not mad at that at all.
Yeah. Embiid, I feel like it's kind of like self-explanatory. It's like, yeah, when he's healthy, he's still really good. He's not at the MVP level that he was a few years ago, but he's still a really good player. We saw what he did to the Celtics. He kind of wrecked the series in some ways. Incredible, like offensively still. A little bit like ball dominant, but yeah, incredibly impactful on offense. The athleticism isn't totally the same. He has dipped off a little bit, but he's still one of the better offensive players in the league. I think like for me, the big decline that you can see through all the injuries is like his defense. His defense used to be like all defensive level. He used to be one of the genuinely 10 or so best defenders in the world, and now you kind of have to hide him a little bit. He just can't move around in the same way. I think that drops him in addition to just like, yeah, you don't know what you're going to get from him. He's a guy that plays between like 30 and maybe 40 games a year, and there's no evidence to suggest that that's going to change. But if you're just like buying into like upside and what these players are at their like absolute peak, I can understand having them on the list. And like, yeah, again, sort of similar to LeBron. It's like, yeah, 23, I think that's fine. I wouldn't have him on my list personally, but like if you're talking about like even just like at their peak of their powers this season, I do think he's like in that top 25 range. Just like not to harp on it, but yeah, the injuries are a really really big deal.
yeah, well put. Agree.
And he just can't play as physical anymore. Like you'll like you see clips of him in his prime compared to now. Like he's not setting as many screens. He's not getting down low as much. He's not switching as much on defense. I was gonna bring up the defense, but I felt like kind of the athleticism kind of implies that you fall off defensively. But yeah, I'm ready to move on from JoJo.
All right, we got number 22, Bam Adebayo, the man who has the second highest single game scoring game of all time in the NBA, 83, as we can see on the graphic.
Mr. 83.
Dude, nice graphic. These are fantastic.
This one's in particular is very clean.
Thank you.
Dude,
Yeah, the
love it.
firefighter is pretty hard, I'm not gonna lie.
That's what I was looking at. It's great.
Um, so I did have Bam directly at 22, so this nailed it right on the dot for me. So I really like this. Um, I personally view him as like um one of the best and most underappreciated defensive players in the year. I think without like this is another player that without Wemby could have a defensive player of the year under his belt within the next couple of years. I think him playing with Giannis is going to be super interesting this year, and I'm really excited to see that. Obviously, two kind of mid-range shooting bigs, non three-point shooting bigs, or I say non three-point shooting, but Bam just isn't efficient. He can shoot threes. But just like a non floor spacing front court, but very defensively talented, has all the tools, all the length to succeed. I'm very excited to see Bam with potentially top five player this year. For I feel it has like if Jim, you can argue Jimmy was top five at one time, but other than that, Bam has not played with a top five player.
Yeah, Jimmy wasn't top five, so we don't have to even worry about that. But I think you kind of hit it on the
I'm
head. He's just a five tool guy.
yeah.
Absolutely. Um,
Yeah,
I'm the 17 there. Am I the 17 high
you are.
ranking on this again? That's the
Yep.
fourth. That's the fourth one I've seen that I'm the highest on. Not great looks.
I mean,
It's
why is that not
okay,
the
because
case?
I ranked Cooper 18th, Charlie. It's okay. It's fine. We're
Yeah,
gonna get
that's
to mine in the front half of the list. Don't worry about that. All the low rankings are me. Regardless, there's gonna be a lot of opportunity for Bam this year. People see it as like Giannis is gonna like take over the offensive load, but we've seen like players like Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, get better offensively alongside Giannis because he opens up. He draws a lot of double teams, which is pretty much the main reason why I think Bam will benefit so much.
yeah,
Is because they're just gonna opt to leave Bam open, and if Bam gets better at jump shooting this season, he could be really really dangerous.
very curious how to see how the teams match up against that. It's Bam Adebayo and Giannis Antetokounmpo on the floor a lot of the time together. Don't know what to do there.
So when there's a
I mean,
fast break, we're all just gonna sit on our hands and watch Giannis dunk the ball.
yep, absolutely.
No transition defense. Like you're not even like what can you even do?
Yeah, and
Bam's running the floor and Giannis is in the dunker spot, and if it's not that way, it's the other way around.
right, right. I mean, you have Bam on defense and Giannis on defense, and those are guys who can guard many players. Many players. Bam Adebayo can guard most positions. You
And
put him in there all the time.
Giannis has also improved so much at passing out of the post as well, which like he can just throw it up there for Bam. Like it's terrific.
Yeah, that's a good
The
argument
more
for
I
Bam
talk
there.
about it, the more I like the fit. Like I've talked about it before and disliked it, but the more I talk about it, I'm enjoying this fit with Bam here.
The fit's quite good. It's good to have him at 22. I'm glad I had him at 17, but I'm gonna regret it later. Five tool defender, Drew Holiday esque. You can't put value on that. So very
Mr.
impressive.
83.
This grade is crazy.
He's dating the future WNBA GOAT, so
Yeah,
Those kids are gonna be crazy. Those kids are gonna be crazy. I do think
oh those kids are gonna be nuts. Oh my goodness.
real. I do think 22 is like perfect. I think I had him 21. So yeah, right around the same range. Yeah, you guys really hit on everything that makes Bam special. Ability to guard 1 through 5. Really good rim protector. I think his passing is a little bit underrated. And I mean, for a guy that like you don't think of like having a bag, he has scored 83 points in a game, obviously. And then you date back to that finals run a few years ago, and he was their top scorer in that finals against the Nuggets. I do think having a legit, clear cut, high end number 1 option in Giannis will help him. I do have my reservations about floor spacing still, but should be fascinating to watch. And defensively, I think it's going to be absolutely unreal. Yeah, super impactful. I think 22 is a great spot. We can move ahead to number 21 here, and that would be Charlie's main man,
no,
Jalen Johnson. Number 15 for Charlie.
yeah, that's my
Another high
fifth.
ranking.
It's my fifth high ranking right now. I got Austin Reeves and Jalen Johnson, Mobley, and I don't know someone else. 21's a good spot. He can do everything. I mean, if we're talking about 5 tools or whatever, that's a baseball term. That's not a basketball term, but we're just gonna keep rolling with it.
I like
Five
it.
tools on Jalen Johnson for sure. Ball handling, shooting, defense, rebounding, and probably something else.
He's like one of the best rebounding wings in the league, and probably one of the best rebounding wings I've ever seen. If we're being quite honest, he's just
Yeah.
if you were into sports betting last year, it was like you would if you bet on Jalen Johnson to get a double double, you wouldn't make very much money, and for a wing,
Yep.
that's insane. That's absolutely crazy. And I do like the 5 tool terminology as well because you talk about a guy that can do everything. Jalen Johnson is just the ultimate jack of all trades wing. I'm very high on him going into this season. I did have him at 19, Charlie, so it wasn't too far off from you. And I think 15 is a good shout. Honestly, it all depends on how the Hawks move forward, especially after that Reese Shea trade.
Yeah. I
I
think I
think
like
this.
actually. Sorry, I like that you said the odds thing because you look at maybe there are two guys who you can bet confidently over a 45 plus points, rebounds, assists, and it's like Jason Tatum and Jalen Johnson are like the two guys that I think of with that line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on JJ Cassels? How do you feel about him?
Good spot. Yeah, I had him at 23, so right around the same range. Incredibly impactful all around win. Yeah, you guys touched on it. The playmaking, the defense, the scoring. I think he's exceptional in transition, especially half court. I still do think there's some room to grow there, but yeah, really, really good all around player. I do think the defense took a bit of a step back as he fully like flourished into that number one option role. But I mean, the guy was averaging damn near triple double, not hyperbole. So yeah, incredibly impactful all around guy. I do think he's super similar to a guy that should be coming up pretty soon, and that's Scotty Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like for me, the reason why I might have been just a touch lower on Johnson was that like playoffs against the Knicks, where it's like, okay, like at this point, and maybe he can grow. And if you want to project further growth, I think that's valid. At this point, he's just like a really good number two option. He could be a number one option on like a playoff team as we saw last year, but like if you're trying to win anything serious, I think he's just like better served as like an awesome complementary player, kind of like a Pascal Siakam, in that like do it
Mm-hmm.
all forward mold. But overall, super impressive, and yeah, last season was incredible, as he fully took the keys to that franchise. But ultimately, I do like project him long term as more of that like high end number two as opposed to like a good number one.
Yeah, I did have Jalen Johnson one spot ahead of Scotty Barnes on my list, and I'm assuming Charlie had him ahead of Scotty Barnes as well. Um,
Correct.
me personally, I was a big fan of the playmaking upside when I was making the list. If I had to be entirely honest, I really like Scotty Barnes' defense, but I think Jalen Johnson um elevates an offense a little bit more. And I think they're super, super close and they're very similar players. So it really could flip either way. But the another deciding factor for me was at the time we were making this list, we didn't know where Kawhi was going. And I thought the Raptors were going to get kind of backed into a corner a little bit, having to run it back with Ingram and Scotty Barnes. And I was a little worried about that. And I think the Hawks are going to have a better team overall. But now with Kawhi on the Raptors, I'm really not sure. I think the Raptors could have a really good team next year. But we will obviously talk about Scotty in just 1 second. But I did enjoy that debate just because they are such similar players.
I think that's a really fun debate. Yeah, you get into number 20. That's Pascal Siakam, another guy who's pretty similar. We can see the spicy P on the graphic. That is fire. Um, yeah. Any thoughts on Siakam here? I feel like this is yeah makes a lot of sense. He's our first guy, I believe, that has been ranked on every list.
I have a thought. I like that the pepper is next to the P.
Yeah, spicy P.
Very good.
By by design.
Yeah.
Um, I Castles knows I have been a spicy pea hater, or I was.
Just
I I am like I'm all in on this guy now after last year. Watching games where the Pacers were playing and Siakam had no reason to even been trying. He could have easily hurt himself, and he's out there proving his worth, earning his worth, and I mean he was a serviceable number one offensive option last year, and you look at a guy that I mean last year I view kind of as a fluke just because he had to take so much of the offensive responsibility. You look at a guy that's improved drastically as a 3-point shooter throughout his career. He's been a great 3-point shooter for the big man slot. He is a great secondary rim protector. He can find himself being bringing lots of positive impact defensively, depending on the matchup, especially in the playoffs in that 2024 run that they had. People are also forgetting that Pascal was the best player on that team up until the finals, like undoubtedly. sure, Halliburton had like all the great shots. When you talk about consistently like a do it all forward, stuffing the stat sheet, hitting threes, that was Pascal Siakam. He was doing it all, and he won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP for a reason. Um, and I am very high on him. The more research I've done, and the more I've watched him play. I mean, seeing him play against the Celtics, like we would be playing Indiana, and it's like, yeah, it's Indiana, but Pascal is like incredible. Even when we're throwing our best defensive guy at him, he can't be halted.
That's the best assessment of Pascal on the Pacers, for sure. He did win an Eastern Conference MVP for a reason, too. He really did. I see two guys on my list that should be below him that are not. Um, and responsible is the right way to put it. He's very responsible, and I would trust him at 20, and I do.
20's perfect. That's exactly where I had him. I think you nailed the assessment there, Ryan. I'm glad that you're a reformed Spicy P hater. But man, that 24 run was very special to me, and I feel like that more so like last season he was super productive on like the Pacers despite like just kind of a wonky situation, and he still made an All-Star team. But that 24 run was really special, and it like for a team that like not only like made a finals run but like was one game away from winning. It's like the most 1A, 1B situation with him and Tyrese. But yeah, he does so much for their offense, and then defensively he can guard multiple positions, super versatile, super high in the Pacers this year, and Siakam is a huge reason why I think they're going to be really good. Him and Halliburton is genuinely a perfect pairing. But yeah, I think like his shot creation gets a little bit underrated, and we saw that last year when it was just like him, and it didn't lead to wins, but he was still producing at a high level, and we saw that in the playoffs. So yeah, I think this is the perfect spot for a guy that's like, I would say like a 1A or 1B type of guy, or maybe like a elite number two. I think this is the ideal spot. Um, all right, we can move ahead to 19. This might be a little bit contentious for you guys. We got Karl Anthony Towns, who both of you gentlemen had unranked. I did have him ranked personally.
I didn't look at the rankings. I didn't look at the rankings. This is horrendous.
16 would be the high. Why is this horrendous? 16 would be the high, and then unranked would be the low. So bit of a delta here. But yeah, what are you guys feeling about Cat?
Sucks.
Cat over Pascal makes me want to throw up everywhere.
This is terrible. This is terrible.
What? Let me ask
so
all the
bad.
listeners. Let me ask the listeners. What would Cat have done on that Pacers team last year? Would he have made an All-Star team? Like, obviously you don't know, but with the he just had the worst efficiency wise regular season of his career. And yes, he was impactful in the playoffs, and that's why he made the list. But I cannot stress enough how bad he was last year in the regular season. I just can't. And his offensive workload for the Knicks, great. He is not a serviceable rim protector. He's not. He's just not. And like what I don't get is like Pascal is the better defender, and he was better on offense last year. So like, what are we doing? And Pascal has more opportunity this year. I don't know. I think Cat is a great player. I think he had a great finals. I think he was one of the reasons the Knicks won the championship. I don't think 19 is the spot for him. I think 20s is about where I cap him out.
20 is. I wouldn't put him there. I wouldn't put him there. I think he should be better than he is right now, and I'm just not very convinced. I would think that he deserves now.
Finals.
I don't care. I
think somewhere in
understand.
the 20s.
It's very
Somewhere in the
convincing.
20s
All
is
right.
reasonable.
I don't want him on my list, but I don't care where he is. Whatever. He's
16 is crazy. Can we just talk about 16 is nuts? that
There are guys
is
that would,
like
yeah, yeah. There are a lot of guys that would pay more than Cat, if that means anything. There are a lot of guys I would pay more than Cat. And when Ryan says Pascal Siakam, I would pay Pascal Siakam much more than Cat, or whatever, the same. I don't care. But I don't know, he's fine. He's worse than Siakam, that's for sure. I'll just leave it with that.
Yeah, I'd say Siakam above him. I had him at 22, so I am a little bit higher on Cat. I do think like the regular season point is totally valid because there was like rumors in the middle of the regular season that they were going to trade him, and it was like, oh, whoa, the Timberwolves clearly won the trade, and then it just reversed in the complete opposite direction. I do think like Cat as somebody who hasn't been high on Cat before. If we did this list last year, no chance he would have made it for me. Yeah, I feel like he shed a lot of those doubts about his game in the playoffs and especially the finals. Obviously, the 3-point shooting is just such a massive weapon, but also the playmaking. I feel like he really was like the hub of their offense at times. And it unlocked so much for that group, and it allowed them to move a little bit away from Brunson until like clutch time and opened up a lot for them. So I feel like the playmaking piece is really huge, and he improved by leaps and bounds throughout the season, and he really flourished in that role, especially once the playoffs rolled around. So that impressed me. And then defensively, like, yeah, I don't think he's a high end rim protector or anything. Uh, the system definitely helps having like those 3 wins, but played really fucking good defense on Victor Wembanyama, and that's not the first time we've seen him play really good one-on-one defense in a high leverage situation. So I mean, I feel like 19. I think it's like kind of reasonable personally. I don't think yeah. I would have him slightly lower, but I think it's kind of reasonable personally.
I
It's
I think
fine.
I would agree that his one-on-one defense with Wembanyama was great, but consistently his ability to guard in space and help on the pick and roll and help on and just help in general is like not it just hasn't been good throughout his entire it's been a problem for him through his entire career. But I will agree with you on the fact though that he played great defense on Wembanyama and he proved his worth in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, I think we're kind of aligned there. I think it's just kind of how you value things. I I again, to be clear, I don't think he's like an above average defender at this point of his
Where
career.
did you have him on your list, Castles?
22.
Cat?
22.
Yeah, that's so like anywhere like 21 to 25 I would be like, yeah, that's fine. But I think 19's a little high.
Yeah, I think that's totally valid. All right, Devin Booker, 18. High rating was 14. Low was 23. Any Depot thoughts?
23 is low. I was
Yeah,
low on
wow.
him. I was
Wow.
not 23. That's low. Um,
I had him at
Score.
16 personally. I think
Yeah.
I think this is a good spot for him. Booker quietly led the Suns last year. Everyone was talking about Brooks's step up, but Booker was just like quietly leading that team, averaging what like I don't even have like stats up just off the top of my head. He was averaging like 25, 26 a game last year, just leading the Suns into actual contention in a year where Suns were panicking because they didn't have their first round pick and they weren't competing because obviously they don't have any of their star players anymore besides Booker. Bradley Beal didn't work out, of course. And now they've got this team, and it's actually like I actually view it as one of the more exciting teams in the league. They got Malawach next year, who was one of the standouts of summer league. Um, I could go on and on about the guy they drafted this year, but we'll save that for a different podcast. And of course, we got Booker and Brooks, and they made some solid additions this offseason as well. They got Miles Bridges. Um, that could be probably the most underrated move of the offseason. The Suns getting Miles Bridges. That will be great for them. And just to like string it back to Booker, um, Booker is another one of those players that when his role is shrunk, he shows that he can elevate in other areas such as playmaking, defending, efficiency. Um, even like finishing around the rim, Booker has been solid throughout his career. But obviously one of the best shooters of our generation, one of the best jump shooters, one of the best mid range shooters, and yeah, I've liked Booker for a long time. When I first started watching basketball, Booker had that game against the Celtics where it was like wow. That game Booker had against the Celtics, twice as impressive as Bam's 83-point game.
That was special.
So, what are you guys' thoughts on the Suns next year? And like, I think Booker could climb rankings. Like his high ranking was obviously 14. We see a wide range of opinions here. I think Booker could easily climb to a top 15 player. Especially if the Suns are good next year, that could really elevate him. And I mean, he's an All NBA player year after year. So I've really enjoyed Booker.
He is. Suns are good. They are good. I like Jalen Green. Dylan Brooks is great. They are good. He could lead that team pretty far in playoffs, and I do see him potentially being a top 15 player. 18 is, I guess, where I expected him, but I don't know. I could have been convinced higher, and
I
14's
think this is
not
a good
even
spot.
14's not even crazy. It's just not crazy at all.
No, no, it's I do like the placement here. Um, yeah, it really the only issue is like the gap between other guys and whatnot. But other than that, I really like the placement here. This is a good spot for Booker, and there's room for him to grow on this list. So I enjoy that as well.
Love D Book. I had him at 14. I think Rye, your point about him being able to like play alongside other established players like seamlessly or scale up as that like clear number one option. And I know like detractors might say, well, it didn't work out with Kevin Durant. Like I think that roster had a lot of issues, but like I think he just fits in so seamlessly with like any roster, and he can also be like a legitimate number one option. He was like the top scorer on a team that damn near won the finals. I know that was like 5, 6 years ago, but he's incredibly gifted as a scorer, and then the percentages have gone down, but he's still a really good shooter. And the playmaking, I think, is it's not like lead guard level, but he's a high level positive playmaker. Defensively, I think he's a little bit better than he gets credit for. So yeah, overall, I love Booker. I had him a little higher. In terms of the Suns, I, I'm not totally sold. I think they're like a playing team. I don't I don't love the Bridges fit as much. I feel like he really benefited from playing next to an elite playmaker in Lomelo. And the Suns don't have it, but I think they'll be like a fringe playoff team, competing for one of those final two spots again. But yeah, I think they're a fun watch regardless. And I know like a couple years ago with KD, it was just like bad vibes, and this season it was pure good vibes. And I think Booker deserves a ton of credit for his role in it. Obviously, as that number one option, but also like buying into doing the little things well. I think he deserves a ton of credit, and yeah, really special player. Got my guy Scotty Barnes,
Oh yeah.
similar.
Yes.
Dude, this graphic. I'm not. I don't want to repeat myself every time, but this is a great one. In particular, wow. Yeah, I was the high 15. That 14 helped Scotty Barnes, but I'll let one of you guys take it away here.
I was a little lower on Scotty Barnes. I don't mind this spot. It's 17's a good spot. I had him at 20 personally. I wasn't the low 21. I don't know where Charlie had him, but
21.
oh wow, okay, so me and you were the lowest then. So I guess see, I like Scotty. That's the it's not like I didn't have a diss against Scotty. There's just so much talent in this range. And like I had Cooper at 18. Like there's just like other factors that go into it. But Scotty is an incredible player, and the Raptors are also I'm very high on the Raptors next year. I think that Scotty is going to take a different role offensively and really hone in on that defensive impact, that switchability, the ability to guard in space and guard the point of attack as well as be a secondary rim protector. He was incredible at protecting the rim last year. I was really enjoyable to watch. He's one of those players where he's like almost electrifying. He's got that. Oh, I don't want to say it. He's got that energy. He's got that energy.
What
He
take it
kind of
Not
looks
easy.
like He kind of looks like that little T-Rex thing in the graphic.
He does. He does.
That's how I see him on the court. You know, he's a Raptor.
He's the perfect
I
rapper.
gotta, yeah, I had
Like
Bam
from
Adebayo at 17. What's the like? You go to like the Raptor, like the
Mhm.
one that they're named after. It's the yeah. I had Bam Adebayo at 17, and
Yeah.
I don't regret that because I respect him a lot. I respect Scotty, but the approach here, in my eyes, is he's got a lot of room to grow still, and I expect a lot out of him. So with Paulo Banchero left off the list, I expect way more out of him than what we've seen, and that's why he's off the list. He's off the list. Scotty's been great, so he's proving his worth, and there's more to come. So I had him at 21 actually, which is regrettable, but he'll be worthy of moving up very soon.
I don't think 21's egregious, even as the 15 guy. Um, yeah, Scotty is just kind of a unique player, a really unique player actually. In terms of what he brings to the table on defense, I think he's like a top five defender in the league. And then offensively, it's like kind of similar to Jalen Johnson, where he's like a really high level playmaker. But I think his shot creation is actually a little bit better. The outside scoring isn't totally there, but he's just like a force going downhill and a really impactful shot creator. The playoffs again, like that was like a big selling point for me in terms of like moving him up a little bit. Ingram struggles and then he gets injured in that Cavs series, and Scotty's given them number one option level production, and that kind of changed my mind. It had me move him up a couple spots, which like in tandem with like truly elite defense, I think like separates him at least for me from like a guy like Jalen Johnson, where it's like Jalen Johnson, good defender. I do agree, like you guys said, like the playmaking a little bit better, but I just think like he's probably not like an ideal number one option on a championship team, but he did show like number one capabilities in those playoffs and throughout the regular season last year. All right, moving ahead to 16 with Tyrese Halliburton, who's coming off that Achilles injury, obviously. A big delta here with the high rating being 12 and the low being unranked. And since you're the low guy, I hate to keep starting with you, Charlie.
Oh,
Why was he unranked for you? Was it just like
I don't
which
know. Who
honestly sounds
cares?
valid?
Who cares? The injury was concerning.
It is.
I worry about his health, and I just didn't want to put him on the list. I wanted other guys on the list. I mean, like, I gotta see him
You
back.
know what?
I have
That's
to
a
see him
great
back.
argument.
I have to see him back. Have to.
I was afraid of ranking Tyrese too high as well, but in my opinion, he's like if he's at his peak this year, he's like on the same level as like a Brunson, a Cade, a Curry. He's like on that level if he's at his peak. The fact that he's at 16 is just a testament to his injury, to be honest. I think it was either he's in this type of range or he's off the list.
Yep.
And I'm glad he's on the list because he deserves it, especially with a Pacers team that is going to be better. So, like, objectively better.
Yeah, I think this is a good spot for him. Truly transcendent playmaker, elite driver of offense. I do think like injury wise, it is a fair concern. You can bump him down a few spots, but I think ultimately this is the right range for him. I will say like the big thing I'm watching isn't like the explosiveness coming off of that injury. It's just like can he consistently be aggressive, which was already like somewhat of a concern. And yeah, I think the proof will be in the pudding, but I just think like based on IQ and shot making alone, he's gonna continue to be a really high level guard. All right, kicking off our top 15, we got Tyrese Maxey. High was 12, low was 18. Yeah, any thoughts on Maxey here and how he projects on like this crazy Sixers team?
This is a perfect range for me personally. I did have him at the 15 slot. Um, and a guy that we previously mentioned that I had over him was Devin Booker. I think that's a little bit of a debate, but I also am a firm believer, and I am kind of you could backtrack and pick me apart for this, but I am a person that values being established for multiple years and Devin Booker has been an All NBA caliber player for 4 or 5 years now, whereas Maxey has only been an All NBA caliber player for at most you could argue 2. And he's a great player. I just think him and Booker are too close to the same level for me to put Maxey over Booker. And I also think his role is going to decrease with Brown getting offensive touches. He does need to handle the ball.
I think he'll handle the ball a lot. He might have to become more of a passer. That'll be very interesting this year. We're gonna have to see him play into a different
Nah,
role.
dude,
Better.
Braun's the passer. Braun's the passer. Come on.
Braun's pretty awful. Um, Unfortunately, I would really regret to. I would be a little bit disappointed to see that LeBron James was taking the ball up the floor more than 6 times a game. I guess. Um,
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you there. Like, I'm a LeBron hit. He does like undoubtedly have one of the best IQs in the league. So him bringing the ball up isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think he's not athletic anymore. I don't want him. I don't want him running the floor in transition.
right. That's a good
I
point.
want
That's a
him to.
good point.
I want him to throw that thing up. But
Sure. He
we
can
got we
walk the
got we
ball
got
up
a
the floor.
guy. Hey LeBron, we got a guy younger than you. His name's VJ Edgecombe, and he can jump over people. You can't do that anymore. Just pass. Just
That's
pass the
right.
ball.
That's right. There's got to be some good play calling there. And you're right. He can walk the ball up the floor. He can walk it. Maxey can run it up the floor. He'll do it on fast breaks. He'll do it all year. All year he'll do that. He'll run through passing lanes all year. I have him higher over a couple guys in the future that I'll mention. Um, and in crunch time, the guy who handles the ball is Tyrese Maxey, and that's what matters to me.
Hmm. Yeah,
Some
and I
great
like Maxi. So yeah.
some great points there. Yeah, I actually had him at 12, which is kind of funny. Like I don't consider myself like
Yeah.
traditionally a Tyrese Maxey guy. I feel like that's usually Charlie, who's a big Maxey guy. But yeah, he's a very just a blur in transition. Extremely difficult to guard. I think like these past couple seasons have proven like definitively like he is a number one option level player. I still view him as the best player on the Sixers personally. I think to Charlie's point, he's gonna be handling a lot of those clutch duties. His playmaking is really high level as well, and then spot up shooting. I think that's something like there is like a bunch of cooks in the kitchen, but I do think that's like something they could unlock a little bit more of because he is a really good shooter. And then defensively, like I wouldn't call him the best defensive guard in the league, for instance, but I do think like despite being a little bit smaller in terms of his stature, he does compensate that nicely with like his defensive playmaking abilities and then generally like just being kind of a pest on that end of the floor. So yeah, I think this is a solid spot. Super interesting season coming up for him with this new look roster, but yeah, I think he's pretty clearly like a quality number one option. All right. 14, we got Donovan Mitchell. Spida, another very clean graphic. Here we got high would be 12 and low would be 18. Any Spida thoughts?
This is where I had Spida as well at 14, so I'm very happy. I have no complaints here, and him directly over Maxi, I also don't have any complaints there. I think that's I think that's a pretty solid rating.
I have him at 14 too, Rye. I have Maxi right over him though, at 13.
Wow. Yeah.
Great.
See, I have Demich, Maxi, Booker.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that lineup a lot. It makes sense. That makes sense to me. 18's too low. I can't. Castles, was that you?
Yeah.
Oh no. Why? Okay, now I need. This is what matters. You have to tell us why.
Yeah, so I mean, first off, I think like honestly, specifically like this 12 through 18 range, I feel like it's pretty fluid. So I feel like if somebody had him at like at 12, like I don't think that's a crazy take at all. For me with Mitchell, there's a couple of things. First off, like defensively, I don't even think he's like in the Tyrese Maxey class where he's like, okay, he's smaller but still can be impactful. But like ultimately, my biggest problem with Mitchell is that he's a small guard that can't be your point guard because he's not a good enough facilitator. We've seen it in a couple playoff series now. I feel like most glaringly it was that like Pacer series, and you can criticize the rosters around him. Like I don't think he's had the best deck of hands in that sense, but they really loaded up on Mitchell and forced him to play make, and he really couldn't handle that. So he's not a high level playmaker. You have to play him as an off guard at 6'2", which just to me isn't ideal. And
Mm.
then as a shooter, especially as a spot up shooter, in the playoffs these past few years, he just hasn't totally been impactful. And there are a lot of like interesting statistics about like in terms of just like passing out of drives, he just doesn't do that a ton. Going back to the playmaking point, so I think it's really like the combination of average-ish playmaking at his smaller size. I feel like is a bit of an issue. Still like a really solid, not to I want to be clear, high level scorer. Still like a really good player. Just a guy that like if I'm picking out my number one option, I probably don't want it to be Donovan Mitchell, and I don't know how it'd fully adapt a number two option. Whereas like somebody like Booker, I see as a little bit more malleable in that sense.
Yeah, yeah. I can't disagree with you there. I do think that D-Mitch has actually taken a step down defensively since his years in Utah. I think that was probably his peak defensively in terms of effort and value. But I of course am high on D-Mitch because of the consistency. I think that I mean, like you said, 14 isn't a bad place to put him at all. It's just I I um I wanted to ask you guys if you ever see him reaching that top 10 range. I feel like he was at one point in time, but do you think that's something he ever gets back to with the league being so talented? I mean,
No,
you look at who's on the come up and you look at the back half of the top 10 and I'm just immediately like, no.
nope, nope. Um,
Sorry.
just
And
way
what you
off.
said
But
about the what you said about the playmaking, he has Harden, so he's fine.
he does.
He has
Well,
Harden, so he's perfectly fine. We got two of the best defensive guards in the league on the Cavs right now.
Harden did a good job growing into the role of having to handle the ball more. Mitchell has not done a
Yep.
great job at growing into the role of having to handle the ball more. And that's something that when he was coming out of Utah, like you mentioned, we were kind of looking forward to. He should have become a better ball handler, and I agree with Cassels. He's not where he should be with that skill.
I remember when he first went to Cleveland, like there was talks about him running the point and like what they're gonna do with Garland because Donovan Mitchell's gonna be their point guard, and then at the two guard they're gonna put another point of attack defender. I'm sure they realized quickly in training camp, hey, this guy is just not at the level of facilitator that we can run him at the point guard.
I think it's
But we
very. I'm not trying to shit on D Mitch because I do think like I'll give him his flowers again. Elite scorer,
hmm,
long overdue. Making that conference finals run generally, especially from a scoring standpoint, has been a high level playoff performer. Um, I just think it's telling that they decided to trade Garland and not only decided to trade him, but decided to trade him for a playmaking point guard again. I think that just like speaks to like the Cavs know him best and they don't
Yeah,
feel comfortable with him in that role.
that's right.
I wonder how he would be like obviously he's played next to Harden, who's a great playmaker, but he's a shell of himself. I wonder how D-Mitch would be playing next to like a Luka or a Jokic or um like an elite playmaker, like what his role would turn into,
It's a great
you know?
question. He could be perfect for that. That would be very nice.
Like imagine him in Jamal Murray's slot right now.
It's like, when you said Jokic, that's exactly where my mind went to, man. Exactly where I thought of.
Like he could run the point on that team because he can run the point guard and just be a scorer, like what Jamal's doing. But
Totally.
all right, so you guys ready to move on from Spida here? Any thoughts, Charlie? I'm good
That's
on this,
all.
honestly.
Let's move.
Let's go. Shout out Spider. Didn't mean to slander you. 13, Jalen Brown. High is 10. Low, 18. Coming in at 13 after a career season. Yeah, any JB thoughts?
We miss you. Oh
I'm the high again on this.
you're the high for JB. Okay,
Maybe tied.
that's.
Maybe
Oh no,
tied.
we're tied, Charlie. Charlie, we're tied. Me and you.
All right, I
Let's
love
go.
that. I love that. Uh,
No, I love it too. Let's talk about it.
he's everything you could want in a scorer. Why not put
Mm-hmm.
him top 10? I mean, there's a reason that teams were seeking this guy out, and I mean, this guy leads the team, so he'll lead the Sixers.
I love that he's better than Donovan Mitchell on this list. He's low key been better for a long time. Not trying to throw shade at D Mitch once again, but that's just my opinion. And he's just great. I mean, Jaylen Brown's also an underrated 3-point shooter. He's kind of talked about as with like his inability to handle the ball, but on this team with all that playmaking and Embiid, he is gonna be able to. I think it could open up for him and Maxey to be spot up shooters, like especially if they try to have LeBron running the floor. But I think the low rating of 18 is a little bit concerning, because that puts him below guys like Maxey and Booker and like I think the reason why they traded for Jaylen Brown isn't it. Let's be real. It's not for Maxey to get a second option. It's to get their guy.
Yep, absolutely.
Would you agree with that? There, Castles like Jaylen Brown undoubtedly better than Maxey, and the Sixers knew that.
I had Maxi higher. So honestly, I would disagree. I think the reason they traded for him is because they could trade Paul George and 2 first-round picks to get him. I think
Yeah.
that's
Well,
like,
yeah. Well,
and
obviously yes. Obviously yes, but like you say that, but it is like a player of that caliber where you're paying him $60 million in like a year. That's a huge investment.
it is.
It's right. A lot of money.
I think him and Max here, it's kind of like the Pascal Halliburton thing. It's like they're totally different players, so it doesn't like perfectly align. But it's like truly like 1A, 1B in my mind. So I don't think like I'm saying, oh, he's the second option in like a bad way. I just kind of value Maxi a little bit more. Um, I'm surprised as like I am a massive JB fan. And I'm always gonna kind of defend him. I guess I found myself a little bit lower on him. At I had him at 16. I don't think that's like a shot against him. He proved like without a shadow of a doubt that he can be the primary driver of success on a 50 plus win team. He's the Finals MVP, elite scorer, incredible finisher. His difficult shot making is sensational. I think, and the two-way impact is also super relevant here because he can genuinely like guard opposing teams' best players. I think like he does have like a couple of flaws, and like the playmaking, it's not like as detrimental as some people make it out to be, but he's not like a high level playmaker, which like I just feel like you need a specific roster context to succeed with JB in some ways, and then some of like the off ball defense I think bumps him down a little bit. I feel like he's kind of like Donovan Mitchell. Like I feel like it's very fitting that they're right next to each other and he's slightly higher. They have a few flaws, but like still can be quality like number one options. But I just think like they need certain things to succeed around them. But hey, who doesn't? I think JB's a phenomenal player. I don't have like a big issue with him being like top 10. I feel like that's sort of like this big tier that I hinted at earlier. But yeah, I think 13's a really solid spot. And yeah, I'm gonna miss him in Boston, big time.
Yeah, it's tough seeing him go for sure. I don't want to talk too much more about it or I'll get teary eyed.
Let's just get out of here. Let's move on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's move on. Number 12, Kevin Durant. A
makes sense.
big delta here. High would be 16, or high would be 6, and low would be 16.
Wow.
Oh, I'm the low.
Wow.
All right.
Wait, you put him at 16? I was saying wow to the
Yeah.
6
The 6 too
Yeah,
high.
6 is high. 6 is.
because six just puts him over a few people where it's like borderline unacceptable. So,
The guards. It's the
but
guards.
yeah, So Durant is obviously like an incredible player, but um the impact that he's giving right now from a scoring standpoint, is his impact really that much at this stage of his career? That's like really my question with Kevin Durant. I mean, I did not have Kevin Durant low by any means. I had him at 13, but I just don't think he's a top 10 player anymore. I don't think he's borderline top 5. I don't think you could put him over some of these guys that are that are leading their team to success and are MVP candidates. Like Durant, the Rockets have not been good. Durant is obviously the leader of that team, and he hasn't been not hasn't been close, but he hasn't been an MVP candidate. So I just don't understand rating him at 6. Like he he was probably the sixth ranked player like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, but just not. I can't get behind that.
6 is high. Yeah. Top 10 is not in my idea of the
Like I
league.
said, I had him at 13, so I think it's I think this is a great spot for him. I wouldn't have had him over Brown personally, but that's I'm sure Castles disagrees on that, and that can be another conversation. But yeah, what do you think about Kevin Durant, Castles?
Great spot. Yeah, it's a great spot for him. Kind of hurt for me not to have him in the top 10. I had him at 11, but 12, 13, I think that's like the right range. Maybe like sneaks into that 10th spot. I still think he is such an easy player to like build, which is kind of funny because we've seen like two teams kind of underwhelm with him. But like he just fits in so smoothly because of his elite scoring, uh, the way he can space the floor and just play off other really good players. I
Mhm.
think like a lot of the Rockets' problems are just not on him. It's around like having two non-shooters on the floor at all
Yeah,
times with
yeah.
Thompson and Şengün. I will say like the one area where it's been a noticeable decline for me, and this is really dating back to like several years ago, and it's just continued to steadily drop off, would be the rim pressure. And that's where like when you're talking about like Kevin Durant, when I view him as like the best scorer of all time, like rim pressure, it's not the number one factor, but it is a factor, and that's just not something he can do at the same level anymore. So I feel like that's where the decline comes in. But yeah, ultimately 12 is a good spot. Yeah, Charlie, did you have any KD thoughts?
I kind of regret putting him at 16, and I'll say that. He is the reliable lead scorer on the Rockets. The Rockets are good. They are good. Um, and he's still at the level that he's been at over the past few years. So I'm not unimpressed. And he's deserving of 12. Top 10 is not in his caliber anymore, but he's deserving of 12.
I don't think 16 is crazy though, Charlie. I just want to say that to I just want to say that for your sake. I don't think that's a crazy rating at all. Um,
Yeah, let's just name drop Jalen Johnson, who's sitting right in front of him on my list. Jalen Johnson is great. KD is also great. I have higher hopes for Jalen Johnson this coming year than I do for Kevin Durant.
I think KD has just lost a lot of explosiveness in general. He's really kind of lost that step in terms of rim pressure, but also secondary rim protection and help defense. He's just been kind of a shell of himself in that regard. Obviously, the Rockets have had some good defenses, but like especially last year, they just weren't at all. Um, yeah, I think that's good for Durant, though. Honestly, think we can shuffle here.
Go ahead. 11, I feel like this is a pretty easy like comparison for KD here, and
Yeah.
that would be Kawhi Leonard, who really had a narrow range here with the high being 10 and the low being 14. But yeah, any Kawhi thoughts?
Yeah, they are. They simply are. Kawhi Leonard sitting at 11 to me makes plenty of sense. He's just outside the top 10, which is so fair. It's so fair. But he's
That's
great.
so incredibly fair. I had him at 12 personally, but I can see
I had him at 11.
oh, awesome. Yeah. So it really nailed it on the dot for you. And I don't think 14 is super out of the ordinary either. So I really enjoy this ranking. No complaints here. And Kawhi is obviously just like generational score, and of course the two-way impact is of course not what it used to be, but still there. And the impact he provides is in my opinion, like I wanted to talk about it the whole time we were talking about it. Talking about KD, but I just value Kawhi higher. His skill set I value higher, and right now at this stage of their career, I think like Durant as like almost a pure scorer isn't nearly as valuable right now in today's NBA. We just have way too many of those, and while he is extremely portable, I prefer the portability of Kawhi's defensive impact, and also I think he carried his team better last season, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I think that, yeah, that definitely tracks. I think this is an appropriate spot. Yeah, elite three level scorer, incredible in isolation. The defense is still largely there. If we're solely going off last season, I think he was like pretty clearly a top 10 guy in the league.
Mhm.
I think for me, like where I did penalize him a little bit, and I think I had him 13, um, would just be like the availability. And like, granted, like KD's availability isn't the best, but I don't feel good about like him playing. I know he's coming off a healthy season, but I never feel good about him playing like 50, 60 games even. So that is a concern, especially as he ages. But I mean, when he's on, he sometimes legit looks like a top five player in the world. And it's
Mhm.
so effortless, the way he scores. So yeah, I mean, really, really interesting player and really interesting guy.
Eamon,
Off
that's
the
a good
court.
point. That's a good point. Yeah, off the court, very interesting. That's a good point. If he doesn't play 50, 60 games, the Raptors are in trouble. So you're right on.
Dude.
Yeah, I I'm of course super high on the Raptors this year, and if Kawhi is playing, it'll just take them to a whole different level. Obviously, Brandon Ingram didn't provide much impact last year, and I think Kawhi will just be like better in every possible way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a major upgrade. I can see them if Kawhi, if you give him the clean bill of health, and assuming the trade gets pushed through. We got Steph Curry coming in at number 10. High would be 8 and low would be 12. So yeah, he's right there in the middle. Kicking off our top 10. And Ryan, I'll kick this one to you because you had him ranked a little bit higher than everyone else at number 8.
I saw this coming. I was talking to the guys about it a little bit before, but Curry's efficiency just gets slightly overlooked. I think when we're doing these types of rankings, I think eff- efficiency as a whole gets overlooked, especially when you consider that Curry is still taking like 11 threes a game and making 40% of them. When you look at something like that, I know he is on the Warriors where he gets all those shots, obviously, but you can't use that against him, especially with the impact that he's provided for years. And I'm extremely happy that he's here at 10. I couldn't be happier with that. I I was very close to having him in the 10-11 range, so this is not egregious at all by any means. And I think that the rest of Curry's career is like very interesting to me. All like the Curry trade rumors were this is a player I never ever thought would leave his team. He's like a Kobe, a Tim Duncan, a Dirk. Like that's how I viewed Steph Curry. Um but saying that, if he changes teams, he will go up on this list. And that is my personal opinion, but his impact does stem from the ability to play alongside others. And those others need to also be talented. And when you get like how it is with the Warriors right now, he's great and he's efficient, but he's not the team is obviously not succeeding because he can only do so much himself, especially at this stage of his career. Um
Yeah,
where did you guys have Curry on your list?
I had him 12, and I
Okay.
don't. I don't even regret it, but efficiency is music to my ears because he is efficient for what he does for that team. He's very efficient. I mean, we went over JB and Kawhi. I had them both above JB and Kawhi, but I don't know. Curry's better when it matters, and he's very efficient for the amount of load that he carries. So huge load.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate that he's in the top 10. I had him at 10th personally, so completely aligned there. I felt kind of weird put him in at just 10. I feel like I'm usually the Curry guy. But yeah, he's still incredible. And any given night, he can look like a top 5 or even top 3 player in the league still. And the shooting, it's just so malleable, lends itself to any sort of roster. And yeah, I think he can still be like a number one option. I just think for me, like the area I kind of knock him in is like the durability. At this point of his career, I just would want other guys over the course of like a grueling 82 game season, and then over the course of a playoff run. I just feel like it's sort of a young man's game, and we've seen him deal with a few more injury problems in recent years, but still my favorite player to watch in the league. And yeah, he's just incredible. The shooting, how well he can fit with anyone, and I think yeah, he's still playing at an incredibly high level, and I'm gonna enjoy watching him this season, even though the Warriors are committed to building another playing team.
Hey man, watch out for Guy Santos. Come on now.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that. Watch out for Yaxel Lenenberg.
There we go.
All right, we got Cade here coming in at 9. High would be 7. Low would be 11. Yeah. Where do you guys? How do you guys feel about this Cade ranking?
Don't worry, Charlie. I'm the low man this time. I told you the further up you get on the list, the more low mans I'm gonna have.
Good.
Cade, to me, the reason why I put Curry over Cade is because I think I think that I just outweighed Curry's impact in terms of efficiency over Cade's kind of do it all type of type of skill set, because he's just Cade's biggest gripe is obviously efficiency. Um,
Right,
it's been
because
the
one
big.
seed, because one seed's inefficient.
I'm not saying the team is inefficient. I'm saying he is inefficient, especially from three.
But who do you give the ball at the end of the game?
Curry.
Cade.
I would much rather. I
Curry.
would much rather.
Well, I meant on the Pistons, the one seed Pistons. You give Cade the
Beef
ball.
stew?
Yeah, beef stew. Right. Beef stew's fouled out by then.
But so number 9 for Cade, like obviously not crazy. I had Cade at 11. I'm the low guy, but like not. It's 2 spots. I'm not worried about it. I did have Jaylen Brown over Cade. That's like a whole other conversation. I'm not like the most proud of that one, but I just think that JB's impact was obviously more last season, and I think the Pistons had so many other attributing factors to why they were successful. Like Jalen Duren made a huge leap, and he was the ultimate complementary piece to Cade Cunningham. You can't like pick out a player on the Celtics, like one singular player where like, hey, that guy was an all-star alongside Brown and he was the perfect match, like in terms of offensive fit. Like that just wasn't the case. It was really, for the Celtics, it was a little bit different. But and then Cade also had the like so much help defensively, like all time, like he's gonna be a future all-time defender, Azar Thompson. And then he's obviously on a 60-win regular season team, and I think that Brown provided more impact from both sides of the floor. I think Brown's a better defender than Cade.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, Jaylen Brown is on the impact ratings quite up there. And Cade Cunningham has the aid of Osar Thompson and Jalen Duren, a lot of great shooters and good coach. And that's why they won. It's not just him. We won last year. The Celtics won last year a lot of games just because of Jaylen Brown. and that's totally fair to say. Cade Cunningham at 9, I have him there. And that is because these guards are very great, and they know how to lead teams to win games. Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brunson, and SGA lead teams to wins, and they have the greatest impact on the floor day in and day out. So
I had him at 7. I could not have been more impressed by Cade's past season with the Pistons, and I think 9's a fair spot. I don't think 11's crazy either. For me, I just view it in a different way. Like, I get like they had a great defensive team around him, but in terms of like extra shot creation and shooting around him, it was tough. And I feel like it was so impressive that they were the number 1 seed with just the lack of like general support. And I know like Drouin had this big breakout, but I think Cade helped in that regard a lot. And then in the playoffs, took the Pistons to 7 games against the Cavs. I know they were the 1 seed and they lost the 4 seed, whatever. But the Cavs had a better roster, and they just made life so difficult for him because of just some of their roster flaws. And I thought he responded well. Some of the turnovers, some of the 3-point shooting, it's not totally there yet, but I also just like kind of blame it on the roster around him. It's just, in my opinion, I just don't view it as a super talented offensive group. And yeah, I think he dealt with a lot of pressure well. And in terms of just like a guy I want for 82 games, in terms of the youth, and throughout a playoff run, even if we haven't seen him like make a conference finals run, I do feel like there's enough evidence to suggest that he can be the best player on a title team if it was a little bit of a better constructed roster. I do view him in like a little bit of a higher tier, but I also feel like low top 10 is totally fair, and I don't have a big issue with this ranking.
I don't have a big issue with 7 either. I think that's a good spot. I think all the guys I have in between Cade and 7, I could see Cade being better next year. So I'm totally on board with you with that. I don't think there's too much disagreement here. I think we all like Cade. I think we're all high on Cade. I think there's just certain things where I put other players above him.
Absolutely. I think that's totally valid. And, I think a lot of times I would have had that Curry bump as well. So I totally understand that. I think we can move ahead to another point guard, and that's going to be oh, no, my bad. I thought we had someone else coming up. But we got Jason Tatum here at number 8, coming off that Achilles injury last year. He returned in March and looked generally pretty solid. Pretty close here. We got high being 7 and the low being 10. But yeah, any thoughts on Tatum here, boys?
you guys both got Tatum jerseys up there. Are you wearing one, Rye? Is that Tatum right there? Oh shoot! Wait a second.
That's crazy.
Wait a second.
Bring it out, baby. Come on now.
Wait. All right, talk about it. I gotta. I'm in there.
Yeah, go Ryan. Let's kick it off.
I have Tatum the highest. I don't know if it's a tie. I don't care. I'm taking that crown. I have Tatum at 7. I borderline had him over a certain someone that Cassels does. He doesn't like his name because he's heard a little too much. But I had Tatum number 7. I think he is undoubtedly one of the most impactful players on the floor when he is healthy. I think when him and Jaylen Brown went to the championship, it was a 1A, 1B type of situation. I think Tatum has gotten so much better throughout his career at being impactful without the ball, and being impactful in other ways besides from scoring. He's improved as a defender, as a rebounder, as a playmaker, and there's obviously a lot of questions with his health. But if I personally didn't have any questions with his health, I would put him top 5. So I want to know your guys' thoughts, but that's where I stand on that.
I don't have questions about his health at all. We ran him back. We rushed him back right there. We wanted to make a playoff run, and he was there for it. And he was up there in the rebounding category, like he always is, and he was up there in the points category, and we made a run. I have him at the high 7, I guess, which is crazy that that's the high.
Yeah, we're tied. We're tied. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, good. He should be up there. He should be no lower than top 7. He should not be lower than top 7. and
Well,
he's 8.
I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it just because of the injury and the fact that he won't have Brown anymore. There are a few questions about him taking not the full scoring overload of the team, but there's a lot of touches opening up over there, and something tells me Paul George is not going to be taking all of them.
Nope.
So I think there's a lot of questions for Tatum. Um, is like in a world where he is the one superstar, it's not 1A, 1B, are we going to see his efficiency drop? Or on the flip side, are we going to see him improve as a playmaker? So there's just like a lot of questions there with Tatum. I like the 8 spot personally. I had him 7, but I really enjoy him at 8 considering some of the other rankings, but I also personally, if I didn't have any questions about, like, let's say Brown was still on the team, Tatum might have been top 5. Like, he's just that good.
I see Tatum as top 5. I do.
hmm
Yeah, I
When he
think
get a fresh cut, he top 5.
absolutely. Yeah, I think eight's a good spot. I had him at 9, so I mean, I don't think there's a big difference between 7 and 9 personally. Um, I think you guys summed it up. Yeah, like he's incredibly versatile, and to have a guy at 6'8", who can do everything that he can. I mean, elite 3 level scorer, impacts the game as a rebounder, as a playmaker. Really, really underrated defender. And it has been a ton of fun to watch him grow every single season. Yeah, it's just the injury. I mean, and to Rye's point about like the usage, I think it's super interesting. Um, we did see him look generally pretty good post injury for someone who was like less than 10 months removed from an Achilles injury. He looked pretty good, but he did not look like I. If we're just based on, which it's not fair to do it, but if we're just basing it off of the 16 games he played in the regular season and the playoffs, like I don't know if he'd be like a top 10 player. He definitely deserves the benefit of the doubt to some extent, but I do wonder because I would agree. I would say he's a top 5 player when healthy, and coming off that finals run a couple years ago, I would have had him in the top 5. I did have him in the top 5, but
Yep.
at this point, I just think it's a fair question to wonder: can he reach that, and can he handle an increased usage load? I know there's a lot of statistics that point out the Celtics win like close to 90% of their games when he has a usage rate of 33 and higher. Can that continue post Achilles injury? Can he be like the sole driver of offense? I think are all like reasonable enough questions to where I see him as like a lower top 10 player, but still a top 10 guy. And he's just outside of that like top 5 tier in my book. But I think he's gonna have a really good season, and I think it's like kind of the KD thing where it's like, oh, KD, he looks really good post Achilles injury. He's still at an extremely high level, but I also do wonder about like rim pressure because that did drop off. But ultimately, super excited to see a season of fully healthy Tatum. Right, we got number 7, the reigning Finals MVP, Jalen Brunson. Pretty close together here. We got high being 6 and low being 9. Any Brunson thoughts?
I am the low man here. Um, the reason why I am low on Brunson because I mean, last year, or even like, but last preseason, or even if you asked us at the All Star break what our ranking of Jalen Brunson would be, it would be like fringe top 15. Would you guys agree on that? Like midway through last season, I would say
Yeah.
you would have him around the same range as like a Booker or a Donovan Mitchell or a I guess like a Kevin Durant.
Definitely had him below Cade and below the top 10.
And then this finals run solidifies himself as a borderline top 5 player, a guaranteed top 10 player. Listen, I had him at 9. I'm not saying he's not a top 10 player, but I think that I think that 6 was a little high, and I think that we may be overrating him slightly because of the playoff run he just had, I think he was on an incredible team. And I hate discounting players for that, but I think there's a lot of other players that um their impact is overshadowed by Brunson due to the team that they're on. Like Brunson is insulated defensively like no other in the league. Um and of course
He
like
is
talent
insulated.
wise they're just stacked. So
He's totally insulated. Yeah, he's insulated by the talent and the defense for sure. Um,
and like
I see him.
I don't want to. I had him 9, so like I'm not like a crazy Brunson hater or anything, but I am the low man here, and I kind of wanted to justify it a little bit.
He's
Where did you guys
insulated.
have him?
I had him 8,
8 too.
Yeah,
and yeah, we're
that
right
makes me
there.
feel better.
Yeah,
So the
he,
major
he's
difference
he
between the major difference between our list is I had Curry over Brunson, and it's another one of those things where Curry's a proven player, multiple seasons, and he's not nearly as insulated as Jalen Brunson is.
right.
And like, if it wasn't for Curry being a proven player, I wouldn't hold that against Brunson. But Curry has just been so good for a while, and his impact is unquestionable. Whereas I don't know how Brunson would have done on like the Nets or the Pacers or the Wizards last year. Um,
Yeah, I have Cade. I have Cade above. Actually, I have Cade right below Brunson. Eamon, do you have
mhm.
Cade above him?
Cade for me was 7. Brunson was 8.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense to me. I have Brunson above him because of the playoff run and the finals run. He did have a. He was the guy during that time. To me, that's undeniable. But and he's undeniable top 10. Um, and the value that he
Yes.
brings is surely there. But there's a lot of value in the league right now.
There's a lot of guard value in the league. Brunson is obviously very, very clutch and he's poised, and that's where a lot of his value honestly comes from. Because other than that, he's like a lot of other guards in the league. Um, but I, he's obviously like not an elite playmaker, which I think has to be talked about because almost every other guard that you see in the top 10 is an elite playmaker just because of the position. But that might
I
just be a me
definitely,
thing.
I definitely see him as an elite playmaker. Um,
You do?
I de-
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
the Knicks have a flow, but he runs the floor.
I'd say maybe like the best like pure ball handler in the league.
I
But
was
I
gonna
don't
say
know
there's
if
a difference, but there's a difference between ball
yeah,
control
Totally.
and playmaking. So I would agree with you there, Charlie, honestly.
Ball handling
Um,
is very important to playmaking.
yes, it is, but I see him more as like someone that can control the pace, like you said, as opposed to someone that's good at passing the basketball. But yeah, so Brunson, obviously King of New York, congrats on the championship, and you are officially a top 7 player.
King of New York. What happened to
yeah.
Pop Smoke? I thought Pop Smoke was the king of New York.
Nah, it's Brunson now. Look at him.
Yeah,
He revived New York.
yeah. Pop Smoke's spirit went into him.
Him and Spider-Man single-handedly just running New
Yeah,
York right now.
that's that's right.
Yeah, real quick, I'll give my thoughts on Brunson. I definitely do think there's a championship bump here, but it's well deserved after the playoff run that he had, and some of the clutch time scoring. I feel like that's like the big case for Brunson. If you want to have him at 7, you want to have him above some of these guys. I can't get. I definitely like agree with your points, Rye, about like the defense and how much the roster benefits him, and that's why I can't get like above like 6. Well, I think 6 is understandable. Anything past that, I think, is a bit extreme, but I think 7's a great spot for him, and I think it's well deserved after that playoff run. He was just incredible, and I don't know if there's anyone I would trust more with the ball in their hands down the stretch of a game, and I think that's an incredible weapon, despite, like, yes, the roster advantages. Number 6, we got Ant Man. Uh, High rating was 5, low was 10. An exceptional graphic here with the wolf. But yeah, any Ant thoughts?
The low is 10.
Sorry. Um, I had I'm the high man here. Anyone else have Ant top five? Anyone?
Yeah,
Um, there's a very large when you put Ant at five. There's a very large elephant in the room that just got traded to Miami, but we'll
Large.
go over that in a second. Um, Ant at 6, I think that's great. I think that Ant solidified himself as a top 5 player last year, but I think that 6 is not crazy at all. He is one of the best. He's one of the best offensive players in the league because of his combination of both rim pressure and volume 3-point scoring. He is just absolutely incredible at both of those things, and those are two of like the biggest offensive weapons in basketball. So he just like excels at whatever lineup the Timberwolves throw him in, and you get him up, you set a screen for him, and he can either go downhill or you have to go over this. You can't go over the screen because he can go downhill quickly and score or throw a pass, and you can't go under the screen because he's just going to pull a tray ball. So he's just like one of those players where his offensive skill set is just a little bit too much for some teams, and he's really quick to take advantage, and he's also a great proven playoff player. So I'm really high on Ant Man. I think the low rating of 10, like I'm slightly confused, but um but I'm sure there's reasoning, and I'm sure there's a lot of talent in the league. That's kind of the justification I'm going to use here. And I just think Ant's going to benefit so much with LaMelo, and it's going to open up his offensive game. He's not going to have nearly any ball handling responsibilities. I mean, his like number one playmaker has been old man Mike Conley for some years now, so it's just quite the upgrade.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Rye.
What
Lamelo
what
to from Mike Connolly to Lamelo Ball, from Dante DiVincenzo to Lamelo Ball is a big deal
well,
for these
Yeah.
rankings, especially. We're going to 26, 27, and Anthony Edwards is the center of attention, and he's got Lamelo Ball passing him the ball. It's going to be great. Open the floor. He's got plenty of space. Yeah. Morally, I can agree with for sure. Yeah, I don't see Ant outside of the top 6. I'm glad he made it the top 6. It's very important to me that he made the top 6, to be honest, because it
It's
would be
very
heavily,
important to my mental health that he
yeah,
makes the top six.
it'd be very frustrating if he did not make the top 6. 10 is like complete disrespect, honestly. Like that's just fucked up. He can't
No,
be
we
bottom
no,
of the
we
top
gotta
10.
Charlie. There's a lot of talent in the league. We gotta justify it.
Yeah, no, it's just not justified. It's just not. It's absolutely not, and it's unguardable. And there are two guys in the league right now who are unguardable, and it's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and it's Anthony Edwards. To me, the best offensive scorers, and
I don't know.
he's in
It depends on how you define unguardable, because the way I see it, like if Wemby even gets close to the rim and you just throw it up there, that's unguardable.
Yeah, I don't count that though. Like I feel you on that. Yeah, yeah. No, that doesn't
You
even
don't
count.
count that.
He's just I don't know. I can't even fathom that one. Um, yeah, Ant's unguardable outside the paint. Inside the paint's a different story, and I'm glad he's top 6. I got him at 5. So
yeah, we all had him at 5, which is funny. Yeah, I think you guys nailed it. The Lamelo thing is going to be a game changer because he was so overtaxed offensively, but uh, as it was, he was pretty unguardable, especially as a scorer. Yeah, can score at all 3 levels. I think the big thing for him last year was adding that mid range shot, and then a couple years back, that 3 point shot took him to a real elite level. Defensively, I think he has another gear to reach, which hopefully Lamelo can bring out of him because last couple of years, I think part of it's just like the offensive responsibilities. But he has flashed like real defensive upside. It's just a matter of committing to it. And now, with LaMelo in the fold, he'll have enough energy to do so. So yeah, I think obviously a super special player, but I think 6 is a good spot for now.
Yeah, I think we're good to move on here. That was pretty good.
Top 5, Giannis.
In there.
Oof.
High would be 4 and low would be 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any Giannis takes?
I mean, this isn't a crazy one. I don't mind the 5 ranking at all. I did say we obviously all put Ant in our top 5, but we can all also agree that this isn't egregious at all. Having Giannis in that 5 slot. There's a lot of questions going into this league. We already kind of talked about the fit with him and Bam, the questions there. But I think there's a lot more excitement than questions. I mean, Giannis is finally in a new place, and change of scenery, one might say. And the Heat, they're a great organization as well. They're a great market. I think Giannis is going to thrive, and I think he has obviously in the past like had a case for being the best player in the world, had a case for being top 3. And while the talent right now is just so steep, I think that Giannis is going to maintain like this top 5 to top 3 um role in the league, and he's of course a superstar. He's his game has changed drastically over the past couple of years. Like I don't know if you want to talk about it a little bit, Castles. He's become much more of like a post playmaker, like face up mid-range type of player as opposed to like his first couple of years when he started to gain weight, like 2019, 2020, he was just a rim-wrecking force. Um but yeah, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on Giannis because I obviously laid it all out there, but
I'm absolutely excited to see the translation from what he was on the Bucks to what he will be on the Heat. Um, I guess this is kind of out of the ordinary, but I'd say it's comparable to what we expected to see from LeBron James when he left the Cavaliers, uh, and he transferred to the Heat. Whole new team, totally
I
different
mean, you say
situation.
that. My first thought was Giannis didn't have a TV special, but Giannis had like a whole year of Twitter banter and
Right.
NBA media and trade rumors. Like, this is a very anticipated thing. If he messes this up, Eamon is gonna be pissed that he wasted
Yeah.
so much time, so many sleepless nights waiting
Waiting
for Giannis to get moved to wherever.
on Timberwolves Twitter all night, sleepless.
It
What's
was a
he to do?
real treat when he got. I had the busiest day that the day he got traded. I was at an event all day. Gets traded at 11 o'clock. Right in between like the Randall trade and then the
Yep.
Io
Yeah.
I remember you
re-signing.
texted me. Randall had just gotten dealt, and you're like, "Oh my god, I think they're trying to get Giannis."
Yeah.
And then I don't think they got Lamelo that day, and then they got Giannis, and you were just not a happy camper.
I
Well,
definitely drank a Red Bull at like 11 o'clock at night.
I've
yeah.
I've been there, dude. I've been there.
Well, the transition is going to be tough. We know that. Um, but Spolstra knows more than we do, so I would say 5 is fair. And
Oh, Spoelstra is gonna have a field day with Giannis running plays from him, drawing up sets. It's gonna be he's gonna
yep.
love that.
I mean,
And then he's
I
gonna
think
have Giannis and Bam.
yeah, I see Spolstra as the best coach in the game, so that might be where I see this working out very well. I have him at 6, which is tied for low, but I'm very excited. As Ryan said, it's
Charlie
excitement.
Spoelstra is gonna be sitting there, and he's gonna see Giannis and Bam out there, and it's gonna be like, God, you know what I really miss right now? You know what I really miss? Khalil Ware.
Khalil Ware, yeah, yeah, yeah. I miss him too, Rye. I miss him too. Yeah, he's gonna
You're
do
about to
great things
see,
on the Bucks.
yeah.
That's my boy.
Oh, I had to get that in there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very glad. To be fair, on topic, I'm very glad that Tyler Hero is nowhere near this list. Um, just to just to include that in there, like that's very important because this is the trade that got Giannis to the Heat, and Tyler Hero is nowhere near this list. He's not even close. Um,
But if Tyler Hero, due to the amount of touches, started absolutely lighting it up,
who cares?
taking a bunch of shots a game, and all of a sudden he's an all-star, is he going to make the list?
I would call him Kyle Kuzma, and I would chalk him right off the list, and I would charge that to the game.
All right. I mean, Denny was an all-star and he didn't make the list, so it's not like it's out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I had Denny
Um,
19, which is crazy, so let's just pretend that didn't happen.
wow.
Yeah, don't even move. Let's move on, honestly. Like, Giannis is going to be very exciting, and that's the very least of it. And the most of it is he's even deserving of a higher ranking than the highest ranking right here, which is 4. He might be unfathomable. So,
No, I mean with the players ahead of him, he's not. He's barely even worthy of 4 with the players
4
ahead
is
of him.
good.
But we'll
Yeah, that's right.
no, I
Good
mean
point.
yeah, we'll get into it with the. I'm
Let's
very
get into
there.
it. Let's move on. Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, I think I don't have to give my thoughts. Giannis is a two-way monster. I think the health is a big question. Kind of a make or break season in that regard. So I did penalize him a bit for the health, but top 5, well deserving. Top 4, can totally see the argument.
Wait, did we all have Giannis 6 as well?
Yeah, I think all of our
Really?
lists are like identical from this point
Oh,
forward.
great.
Luca, number
This
1
is
is the high.
high
Oh,
ranking.
he's number 4 overall. Number 1 is the high. Low is 5. So yeah, everyone thinks he's a top 5 player. I love the Luca magic part of the graphic. But yeah, any thoughts on Luca?
Luca Magic.
I could never put Giannis over Luca, even if Giannis played last year and was fully healthy. The season Luca just had was like absolutely ridiculous. He's quietly one of the best non MVPs we've ever seen.
That's a good take.
That's my take on Luca. Quietly one of the best non MVPs we've ever seen. And thank you to the person that ranked him at 1 because I think it's a discussion that needs to be had. I personally had him at 4 and I love Luca, but it was so hard for me. It was so hard for me not to like want to rank Luca higher. I can't get over the defensive shortcomings personally. Um I won't say he's a one-dimensional player, but um definitely hard to overcome like being being a complete like being completely lazy and helpless on defense pretty much. I mean, I won't say helpless. When I say helpless, I'm just thinking about the 2024 finals. Like he's not that bad all the time. But he is not a very serviceable defender, and that's what holds him back on some people's lists. And that's why someone probably had him 5, which I can respect because I had him 4. But he is. I mean, I'm sure like Luke is one of my favorite players, but I can unbiasedly say one of the best non MVPs we've ever seen. Hopefully, he wins one, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best non MVPs for sure. The defensive side does not necessarily show up when it matters. Um, and I guess I have to go back and mention Anthony Edwards does show up on the defensive side. He does. He does. Anthony Edwards shows up on the defensive side in playoffs when you need him to, and Luka Doncic does not consistently do that, not reliably. I have him at 4. That's where he is.
Yeah, but Luke, they don't need to. They don't need to. Luca can score and pass. They don't need to trade for another player to pass the ball. Now they need to trade for another player for defense, but hey, that's let's not talk about that.
And defenses against Luka can specialize in the method that you can stop him with. So
But when you've got Marcus Smart picking up the point of attack, you don't need to worry about Luca's perimeter defense. You got the guy.
No, miss him.
throwback.
Luca at 4, I think is really nice. Good spot. Like everyone, I had him at 4. Um, he was kind of a tricky evaluation though. I did consider Ant just because of like the high end defense, even if he doesn't totally show it. But Luca's blend of shot making, shot creation, playmaking, it's really special. And the case for him to be number one, which was made by Svy, who is a Lakers writer, is that he's genuinely the best offensive player in the league. And I kind of see the case in some ways, just because like from a creation standpoint, he might be like better than Jokic, and that kind of like made me rethink it. It's like, oh, do I want to have him like 5, 6, or maybe like closer to like 2 or 3? I do think there's a real case there, but regardless, really special player, and I totally agree. Up until this point, he's been like one of the best non MVPs of all time. I do just knock him for the defense a bit. I just think that like limits like what rosters you can build around him, and you do have to make a roster that's like tailor made for him. But the offense more than compensates it. So yeah, I think we can move ahead to number 3, and that is going to be Nikola Jokic. High was 1, low was 3. Very interesting, because I feel like if we did this list a year ago, he would probably be consensus number 1.
Yeah, he was easily the consensus number one for a good while. Obviously, the playoffs last year have shot him down a little bit, especially with the two players that are ahead of him. Um, Obviously, I am very high on Nikola Jokic. I think he's one of the best offensive hubs of all time. He is the most versatile offensive center, of all time. And there's just so much that he can do. He contributes in so many different ways. He is the Denver Nuggets. Um, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this, because obviously the high ranking of 1 is very, very interesting. I know none of us did it, but it's a conversation that needs to be had, that Jokic is still could be the best player in the world. And maybe he's just not being held back, but just doesn't have the talent that like the Spurs or the Thunder have. Um, and that's why not as many people are talking about him. But what are your guys' thoughts on Nikola Jokic?
Yeah, absolutely MVP caliber player. Um, he's not winning right now, but he's been hurt. I am a little bit concerned about his injuries that he's had this past season and prior. I see him at 3. It makes sense, but I'm not as concerned about him as I have been recently, especially when it comes to shooting ability.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolute unicorn on offense. I think this broke a several year streak where for me he was like, oh, clearly the number 1 guy, and it did even happen slightly before the playoffs. I think that shifted for me, and then the playoffs like fully cemented it. But yeah, I think he's one of the most impactful offensive players of all time. I do just think the defense has slipped. But I do think like if you're making the case, if you're saying that he is still the best player in the world, I do think that is reasonable, just based on the fact that hey, he clearly didn't look the same since that knee injury. He's been durable otherwise. And are we just really going to overthink it? Essentially, because of one like really rough playoff series. So I do understand the case for him to be 1, but I just think this top 3 is so good, you really can't go wrong with any of them. Moving ahead to number 2, Victor Wembanyama. High of 2, low of 4. Obviously, he's an alien, as we can see on the graphic, and as anyone who's watched him can tell you, absolute alien. I'm a little bit surprised nobody put him 1, but yeah, just totally dominant two-way player. Any thoughts on Jokic?
It is surprising to not see him 1, for sure. I imagine that he's 4 because Luca was 1 by Svy, and I respect that. Um, it happens. We slip up. Wemby is top 3, and he's absolutely top 2. He is 2 right now. I see him there, and that's just because his scoring ability is not higher than SGA. But it's really on the cusp, and he's still growing, which is incredible as a player. He's an alien, and he's 2 for now, but he's 1 next year, so that's how I feel.
I almost put Wemby 1. I'll just say it. I'm a defense guy. I almost threw Wemby right on up there. He has the case already for being one of the best defensive players of all time. And he has the tools and the pace right now to be right now, I would say Bill Russell is the definitive best defensive player of all time, but there were no defensive awards in his era, and there were other defensive bigs like there, so no one really knows. Not that they don't know, but Wemby could solidify himself, especially in the modern era, as the best defensive big. He's obviously got the length to completely deter the rim. He's he's able to move in space, he's able to switch, he's got great hands, and of course the things he can do on offense is just like wow. Um Never seen before player, really his like own archetype, and I truly see him as like on pace to being the best defensive player of all time, which is why I can see him at one with the defensive player of the year unanimously last season, which like what the heck? Like that's already solidifying yourself as one of the best defenders, but yeah, obviously Wemby is just generational.
Yeah, without a doubt. Never seen anything like him before. Don't think I'll ever see anything like him again. Truly a one of one player, especially on defense. I can confidently say, well, he does need to prove it, like peak wise, to be the best defensive player ever. He's the most talented defensive player I've ever watched. Absolute cheat code, and then being able to do that and space the floor is just a total hack, especially from like a team building standpoint. And it's just really easy to build a roster around a guy like that. And that's where, at least for me personally, I kind of gave him the edge over Jokic because Jokic does need a little bit more of a specific roster context to succeed. But yeah, Wemby, incredible. It's incredible that he's at this spot at such a young age. And I think it's a matter of time before he's number one. But at least for me, like I just need to see a little bit more consistent offensive aggression, not settling for jumpers as much, and just a little bit more stamina because I feel like those were all problems in the NBA Finals. But like it was his third year and he made the NBA Finals. He arguably could have won MVP. He was absolutely absurd. So not a knock against him. I just think that's the next level he has to reach. And closing things out, we got Shea Gilgeous Alexander coming in at number one. High rating was one, obviously, and then low was three. Yeah, I think this is the right call, obviously. And you guys, I know, all agree with it. But yeah, any Shea thoughts?
SGA at 3 is nuts. I don't know who put that there, but that's like horrendous. Horrendous take. Horrendous take. Um,
Oh
like
my god.
yeah, if we're talking about
No,
guys,
wait.
where's he at?
Shea at three probably means um
Is
Luca
Jokic?
one, Luca
No,
one, Jokic two. No?
I believe it was the guy who had Jokic one. It was
Yeah,
Jokic, Wemby two, Shea three, if memory serves. Because I believe
big.
Svy, he had Wemby four and Jokic three, if memory serves.
Fair.
But yeah, any thoughts on Shea?
I value the guards a lot. I value the guards a lot to lead an offense like that, and to lead an offense like Shea Gilgeous Alexander does is something that we really haven't seen. Oh man, this is so bold. Haven't seen since Magic Johnson. The way that he leads his offense, and you can argue there are key pieces in there. Yeah, Ryan does not. He wants to call a timeout on that, but I fully believe that SGA, he leads a team like no other. He plays all five tools for sure, better than anyone, and he's deserving of one more than anyone on this list for a long time even.
So there's this gentleman. No, I'm not gonna do it. No, I like we have seen someone since Magic,
Is
and it
Steph
was
Curry?
Steve Nash
Oh, oh,
leading an offense and
uh,
raising the ceiling of an offense. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Shea and how him and Victor Wembanyama and Jokic, I believe, solidify themselves as the 1, 2, 3 because they are generational players. They are established generational players. Like I think Wemby with his unanimous depoy, and then of course Shea and Jokic with their multiple MVPs have solidified themselves as generational players, and that's what gives them this tier. I think Shea's handle and his scoring ability, all time tier. We're talking like up there with like with for our generation, he's up there with like Harden, Curry, Durant in terms of like scoring at their peak. We're watching a peak guard unfold in front of our very eyes. And of course, the two-way impact is what excites a lot of people with Shea. Just the ability to bring positive value all the time. And of course, the Thunder are absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But also, the Thunder are really incredible, but it's not like Brunson on the Knicks where like obviously the Knicks would be a lot worse without Brunson. I like what would the Thunder be without Shea? Shea is the Thunder. Like this may be a hot take, Charlie. You ready for this?
Yep.
I think the Thunder, if it let's say Shea got hurt in like an off-court incident right before the season, out the whole year, the Thunder may miss the playoffs, especially in that Western Conference where it's so talented. I don't see them being able to make up that offensive impact he provides with Chet and J Dub as their 2 and 3 options. Like they might have a good defense, but the impact that Shea provides is the Thunder's success. You can call the Thunder stacked all you want and say they had all these draft picks. There are other teams out there like like the current Pelicans, for example, that had all these draft picks. They never had a player like Shea, so they never panned out. Um, I could go on and on about Shea as an all-time player, but I think everyone gets the picture here. Like he's like that.
No, absolutely right. He has the heartbeat of a contender, and everything that he does on the floor absolutely changes the vibe of the whole court. Every time he steps on the floor, everyone's got pure confidence in him. So I think that's absolutely unmatched, and that's why he's consensus one.
Yeah, I think this is the right call. I think on social media, too many people get caught up with like the foul baiting, but the reality is, Shea's the best scorer in the league all around. He's incredibly gifted as a difficult shot maker, incredible finisher. Um, the on-off numbers speak for themselves. He's incredibly impactful. There's a reason why he's the back-to-back MVP. And I just do value, like, to your guys' point earlier about like having a guard who can just create for himself at any moment in time. I think it's just incredibly valuable, and it's just like the easiest way to build a team. And then he is a high level defender as well, on top of everything else. So yeah, I think he is very deserving of this number one spot. And honestly, I wouldn't have had him number one after the finals run. But for me, like this year, seeing what he did, like with some of the injuries they were dealing with, and then in that Spurs series, I felt like he was absolutely exceptional. Despite some of the injuries to J Dub and AJ Mitchell, and then Chet just turning into a pumpkin. I thought he was really incredible, and I think his playmaking is a little underrated, and he has taken some leaps in that area as well. So, I mean, yeah, he's the complete package. Elite size too. Yeah, I mean, complete package. Quietly kind of like an all-time talent. And yeah, he is the driving force of a dominant Thunder team.
Not so quietly anymore. I've been screaming on the streets about it.
You're gonna make sure it's loud.
I'm gonna make sure it's loud and clear.
Let him know.
Yeah, I mean, Shea is already better than Westbrook all time. Oh, who said that?
That's easy. That's too easy. That doesn't count. That's too easy. He's better than uh, Steve Nash.
Yeah,
Steve Nash. Yeah, he's better than Steve Nash.
yeah, he is. He is. Yeah, the playoff success is already there. Yeah, of course he is.
There's so few two-time MVP. I know Steve Nash is too, but like there's so few two-time MVPs. I feel like when you're at that level and you've won an NBA championship, like yeah, you're automatically like top 25, 30-ish. I don't know the exact ranking off the top of my head, but yeah, all-time talent, no doubt.
Absolutely. I'm glad it's something that we can all agree on and just kind of end off. But the low rating 3 is a little crazy, but I can see. Yeah, whatever.
Charge it to
That's
the
a high
game.
value on, yeah, high value. Charge it to the game, man. Charge it to the game.
Charge it. Charge it. All right. So the next graphic is it's just a list of all of them.
Let's
So
get them. Yeah, let's get it up.
it like you can post this one on whatever
Oh,
castle,
sweet. Sweet.
but
Nice.
That's a good way to look at it. And for our viewers right now, I'll just quickly recap. So this was our 25 through 13 portion, and then here is our 12 or 1 through 12, 12 through 1. Very clean, and yeah, shout out Rye for the graphics. Shout out to you guys for hopping on the show, and if you're listening this far, shout out to you. But yeah, before we officially close out the episode, want to give you guys a chance to plug your work. Tell our listeners where they can find you at.
Oh,
dude,
I got a plug. Yeah, you plug, and I got.
so I honestly I really like making graphics for fun. It's I was I really like using the segment of my mind where I'm interested in basketball and just like kind of putting it somewhere. So I have a TikTok. It's called Dime HQ6. I'm eventually gonna be starting a website somewhere down the road, but for now I'm just gonna be posting things on TikTok, doing it for fun. But yeah, that's at Dime HQ6. Please, some of you are already following me. I think one of the panel members is actually following me on TikTok, so hopefully I didn't piss them off too much.
Oh, we're on
Yelling about
that.
their yelling about their takes. They can yell about mine. There's a lot of bad takes on my TikTok. I specialize in engagement bait.
Oh yeah, catch us in the comment section. I'll plug.
Charlie's one of my top engagers.
Oh, absolutely, I am. Oh yeah, those rankings on the small forwards got to me. Oh yeah.
It did. You were very upset with Tyler Hero being on the shooting guard rankings.
Yeah, I don't like Tyler Hero, that's for sure. Yeah, I'll plug let's see what I'll plug. I'll plug I'm doing data
Plug your LinkedIn.
analytics. Yeah, no, I'm doing data analytics right now. My name's Charlie Bischoff. I'm doing data analytics for the Brisbane Bullets, the NBL in Australia. This fall coming up season. Yeah. We got our first scrimmage on the 28th of August, so get hyped for the Brisbane Bullets. Gonna make a run.
Wait, the NBL, that's where LaMelo played. Wait, is
Yeah.
it?
No. This is Australia. Or did he play? No, he didn't play
He played in
Australia.
the NBL for the Hawks.
Yeah, he did.
No.
He did
Oh,
play in the NBL.
I didn't even know that. All right, roll Lamelo. Roll Brisbane Bullets. Roll. This is time to compete. This is my buddy's charity. He died from cancer, and this is for kids with cancer who are trying to explore opportunities like sports and timetocompete.com. And that's my plug.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's a great plug.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely respect the cause. Go check it out. Check out Rye's work. Check out Charlie's stuff as well. Yeah, I'll close it out here. I appreciate you guys hopping on.